All right, so get this. We're diving into Trump NFTs today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, digital trading cards
Yeah.
and cryptocurrency, all with the former president and like right before his second inauguration. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, just days before. And we've got these excerpts from this New York Times piece called Texto Pegado,
Okay.
and it's wild, let me tell you.
The timing is definitely interesting for sure.
Right.
Makes you wonder what this means. Is it a business venture or a political power play or?
Or something else entirely.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle where the pieces constantly change shape.
Exactly.
So, okay, what exactly are we even talking about here?
Well, the token itself, it's called Trumpy.
Okay.
And it's got this image of him, from the assassination attempt
Oh, wow.
back in July. Yeah. And the slogan is join the Trump community. This is history in the making.
Yeah. Okay. So not exactly subtle.
No, not really.
And the imagery, I mean, is that like normal for NFTs?
Not really, no. And that's what makes this so interesting.
Okay.
So to understand this, we got to talk about how NFTs even work. So they're like these digital certificates of ownership
Okay.
tied to a specific asset. So in this case, that image.
Gotcha.
And they live on a blockchain, which is like this secure and transparent digital ledger.
Okay.
Think of it like a public record that can't be messed with.
So it's not just like a JPEG you can just copy and paste.
Right.
There's actual like technology behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And most NFTs are tied to things like digital art or collectibles. But what makes this Trump token different is that it's being positioned as way more than just a collectible.
Okay.
It's being marketed as a piece of history, a
Oh,
way to join a community, and of course, you can't ignore the potential for profit.
right. Because this isn't just some fan-made thing, right? This
Yeah.
is tied to the Trump organization.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's run by CIC Digital LLC,
Okay.
which is an affiliate of the Trump organization.
Gotcha.
And they own a lot of the token supply, like 80%. And they get a cut every time a token is sold. So they definitely have a reason to want to increase the value.
So they're not just dipping their toes in the water. They're like diving in head first.
Pretty much, yeah.
But you mentioned profit. Are we talking serious money here? Like the kind that would make crypto investors drool?
Potentially.
Yeah. Okay.
Some estimates put the fully deleted market cap at around $30 billion.
Wow.
That's the theoretical total value if all the tokens were out there.
Okay.
Of course, that's a ways off, and most of those tokens are still with Trump-related entities.
Right.
But it just gives you an idea of the scale we're talking about here.
Okay. So big money, a former president, and imagery of an assassination attempt. This is already more complicated than your average NFT.
Definitely.
And I feel like people in the crypto world are not happy about this.
You're right. The article quotes this crypto venture capitalist, Nick Tomano, and he calls the timing and ownership structure predatory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he thinks a lot of people can get hurt financially.
Yeah.
Crypto market's volatile, even for projects that have been around for a while. Now imagine adding the emotional element of someone like the former president.
And the hype?
Exactly, the potential for hype and speculation.
It's like they took a financial roller coaster and cranked it up to like 1,000.
Yeah.
And I gotta admit, this whole thing feels kind of off.
Uh-huh.
Like, is this just business or is there something more?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it gets even trickier because this isn't the Trump's first time with cryptocurrency.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were involved with this startup called World Liberty Financial a while back,
Okay.
but their control and ownership was way different back then compared to this new thing.
So different setup, different stakes.
Right.
But can we go back to the imagery for a sec? I mean, using the assassination attempt for a digital trading card,
Yeah.
that's a bold choice.
It definitely raises some eyebrows
Yeah.
and is made even bolder by that statement on the website.
What's that say?
President Trump faced death and came up fighting.
Wow.
It seems like they're creating this whole narrative. It's one of resilience, overcoming adversity.
So maybe it's not just about the money then. Could this be a way to like solidify his image appeal to a certain audience?
It's possible. Yeah. Think about it in a world of meme coins, where most of these tokens are just jokes and internet trends.
Right.
The Trump token's trying to be different. They're connecting it with a powerful figure, a controversial event, and a story that resonates with a certain group.
Okay, so we've got a former president, a potentially lucrative business, and a marketing strategy that's questionable, to say the least.
Yeah.
Where do we even start with all of this?
Let's look at how they're presenting it.
Yeah.
The marketing tries to separate it from politics,
Okay.
focusing on ideals and beliefs embodied by the symbol Trump,
Mm.
but they're also playing up the the community aspect. It's a tricky balance.
Yeah, and I bet there are tons of disclaimers knowing how these things usually work.
Oh, absolutely. The website is full of warnings about volatility and legal stuff.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to cover themselves while still getting people to invest.
So lots of risks, but potentially big rewards. No wonder everyone's talking about this. But I still feel like there's more to this story than we see on the surface.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
To understand this, we got to look deeper at the context, the history,
Mm-hmm.
the potential implications.
Okay, I'm listening. Let's dive deeper and see what we find. Okay, so this is more than just some random NFT project, right? We're talking about a former president, a potentially huge market, and imagery that feels super intentional.
Yeah, and to figure this out, we need to look at the bigger picture. We've talked about how volatile the crypto market is.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when you add political influence to that?
Right, because it's not like the former president is quiet about his opinions, especially when it comes to money stuff.
Exactly. He's been very vocal about supporting crypto for a while now,
Yeah.
even saying he'd appoint crypto-friendly regulators if he's elected again,
Wow.
which is the opposite of what the current administration is doing.
Yeah.
Their approach is way more cautious.
So you're saying there's a chance a president could directly impact the value of a cryptocurrency?
Potentially, yeah.
Maybe even like their own token. That seems a little scary, to be honest.
It definitely raises some concerns. Imagine campaigns being funded by how well a candidate's own crypto does,
Oh, wow.
or political decisions being made just to boost a token's value.
Yeah.
It could totally change how we think about politics and finance.
It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's happening right now.
It is.
And it makes you wonder, what kind of example does this set for future presidents or even just politicians in general? Could we see every candidate with their own meme coin?
It's not impossible, and that brings up some serious questions about transparency, accountability, conflicts of interest.
Right, like how do you even regulate something like that? What if a president's own financial interests clash with what's good for the country?
Those are questions we need to start thinking about as a society, because technology is moving way faster than we can understand its consequences.
Yeah.
And when you add the power of the presidency, the stakes get really high.
It's like we're walking a tightrope between cool new stuff and complete chaos.
Yeah.
On one hand, you've got these technologies that could revolutionize everything. But on the other hand, they could be used for personal gain or even to do bad things.
And that's why talking about regulation is so important.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make sure crypto is used for good and not for harm?
Right, because we've already seen how social media can be used to spread lies and manipulate people.
Right?
Could you imagine that happening with the cryptocurrency?
Absolutely. It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just money.
Okay.
Imagine a politician using their own crypto to reward followers or punish people who don't agree with them.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is.
It feels like this whole situation is just a snapshot of all our worries about technology power the future.
I think you're right. It reminds us that technology is just a tool.
Okay.
It's how we use it, the choices we make that determine its impact on society.
So we've talked about the politics, the ethical concerns, the big picture of crypto, but I keep coming back to the assassination attempt imagery.
Yeah.
It feels so intentional, so calculated. Why use that specific event for this?
You're right. We can't ignore that.
Yeah.
And to understand it, we need to look deeper into the psychology of symbolism and storytelling.
So like how it makes people feel.
Exactly.
Right.
Remember, we're talking about someone who knows how to use image and emotion.
Right.
That statement on the website, President Trump faced death and came out fighting, it says a lot.
So it's not just some random picture. It's a carefully crafted message.
Exactly. Yeah. And it taps into a very basic instinct, the desire for a strong leader, someone who can protect you.
But isn't that dangerous? Using a traumatic experience to sell cryptocurrency?
It's definitely risky.
Mm.
And it brings us back to the ethical issues we talked about.
Yeah.
Even if it's legal, is it morally okay to use a near-death experience for profit?
And we're living in a time where politics are super divided. People get emotional easily. Facts are debatable. This kind of imagery can be really effective, even if it's manipulative.
You're absolutely right. That's what makes this so complicated and concerning. It's tech, politics, and psychology all mixed together, and the consequences could be huge.
Okay, so we've covered a lot, the political stuff, the ethics, the imagery, the crypto world in general. But I feel like there's more to uncover, especially about that assassination attempt symbolism.
I agree.
What does it tell us about why this is all happening?
And that's where we'll continue our deep dive.
Okay.
We need to look past the surface, decode the message hidden in the imagery, and face the tough questions it brings up.
All right, you've got me hooked. Let's dig deeper into the symbolism and see what we find. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. The assassination attempt imagery, it's been kind of hanging over us this whole time.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to really break down what it all means.
You're right. We can't just ignore it. It's everywhere in the marketing, the message, even the token's name. It's intentional, and that's what makes it important.
So it's more than just a design choice, than it feels like a strategy.
Yeah.
Exactly. Think about it. The website says President Trump faced death and came up fighting. They're not hiding from it. They're using it.
But why? What are they trying to say by bringing up this event?
I think it's about creating a specific story. The story of the survivor, the underdog, the person who goes through something terrible and comes out on top.
So they're making the former president look like a fighter, someone who's always being attacked but always wins.
Exactly. And for some of his supporters, that really resonates with them.
Yeah.
It makes them feel like they're part of a group that's being attacked, but will win in the end.
But isn't that dangerous, using something like that, a traumatic event, to sell a cryptocurrency?
It's definitely risky, and it makes you question whether it's ethical to use something like that for money, but it's also really powerful.
Okay.
It uses those deep emotions and loyalty people feel.
It makes you think about how easy it is to influence people with images and stories.
Right.
Especially now when facts are questioned and everyone's so emotional. That's a really important point. We live in a world where information is used as a weapon, where truth doesn't really exist and stories have more power than facts.
And this whole thing seems to be doing exactly that, using images and words to make people feel a certain way, to use their existing beliefs and fears.
And that's the scary part, because when you mix that with the unpredictable crypto market, you get people making financial choices based on feelings, not logic.
That's a recipe for disaster. People could get caught up in the excitement, invest more than they can afford, and lose everything.
And that's not even thinking about the long term. What happens if this becomes the norm? If politicians start using emotional images and stories to control the crypto market?
That's a scary thought. It feels like we're at the beginning of something new, something we've never seen before, and we have no idea where it's going.
That's how innovation works. It can be good and bad. It can create amazing things, but it can also be used in the wrong ways.
So what can we do? How do we deal with this new world where tech and politics are so mixed up?
I think the first thing is to be aware, to know about the risks and how technology can be used to manipulate us.
And to think critically.
Right.
We need to question the stories we're being told, to look deeper and see what's really going on.
Exactly. We need to be informed, engaged citizens, not just consumers. We have to demand transparency, accountability, and ethical behavior from our leaders.
And maybe we need to talk more about the role of technology in society, about our values and the future we want.
I think that's a great way to end our deep dive, because this isn't just about one former president or one cryptocurrency. It's about the choices we make, the questions we ask, and the future we create together.
Well said to everyone listening. Thanks for joining us. It's been a wild ride, but I hope you got more out of it than just some information. I hope it made you curious, challenged your ideas, and maybe even made you think about the world in a new way.
And remember, stay informed, stay curious, and most importantly, stay engaged, because the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we make.
So true. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.